Welcome to our second workshop for CED405 Spiritual Formations. Today's workshop is going to be on discovering your spiritual gifts. At this time, let's look at page 17 in your course notebook. Today's workshop is going to be going through a spiritual gifts survey. While we go through this survey, one thing to remember is that this is not a test, so there are no wrong answers. The spiritual gifts survey will consist of 80 statements. Some of these statements reflect concrete actions. Other items are just descriptive traits, and still others are statements of belief. While going through this survey, the first thing you want to do is select the one response you feel best characterizes yourself and place that number in the blank provided. Make sure you record your answer in the blank beside each item. Secondly, do not spend too much time on any one item. Remember, it is not a test. Usually, your immediate response is the best response. Thirdly, please give an answer for each item. Remember, do not skip any of these statements. And finally, work at your own pace. Remember, there's no time limit on this spiritual gift survey. Just make sure you go through it as thoroughly as possible. At this time, begin going through the spiritual gifts survey by using the following choices. Put a 5 next to something you would say highly is characteristic of you or definitely true of you. Put a 4 next to a response that is most of the time describing you or mostly true for you. Put a 3 next to those that frequently characterize you or are true about you 50% of the time. Put a 2 next to something that occasionally is characteristic of you or true to you about 25% of the time. And then finally, put a 1 next to any statement that is not at all characteristic of you and is definitely untrue for you. Feel free to pause the lecture right here and pick back up in the video after you've completed all 80 questions for the spiritual gift survey. Now that you've completed all 80 item statements, let's talk about scoring your survey. Follow these directions to figure your score for each spiritual gift. The first thing you're going to do is place in each box your numerical response to the item number which is indicated below the box from those 80 statements. Just remember, even though there are only 3 examples on the right-hand side of the screen, make sure you answer each box entirely on the page. And then, for each gift, add the numbers in the boxes and put the total in the total box. At this time, pause the video and come back to it after you've entered all the totals. The next step we want to take in your course notebook is graphing your profile. The first thing that we will do is for each gift, place a mark across the bar at the point that corresponds to your total for that gift. Then secondly, for each gift, shade the bar below the mark that you have drawn. And then finally, the resultant graph will give you a picture of your gifts. Gifts for which the bar are tall are the ones in which you appear to be the strongest. Gifts for which the bar are very short are the ones in which you appear not to be that strong. Make sure to pause this lecture and pick back up after you finish shading in your bar graph. Now that you've completed the survey, thoughtfully answer the following questions. The gifts I have begun to discover in my life are, and then list the top 3. Then, after prayer and worship, I am beginning to sense that God wants me to use my spiritual gifts to serve Christ's body by, then fill in the blank. Or you might just say, I am not yet sure how God wants me to use my gifts to serve others, but I am committed to prayer and worship, seeking wisdom and opportunities to use the gifts I have received from God. Just make sure to ask the Lord to help you know how He has gifted you for service and how you can begin to use the gift in ministry to others. Your homework for this lecture is to retake this survey by having someone who knows you extremely well answer the questions for you. Then compare their totals for each gift to the totals you gave yourself. After that, briefly explain how they are similar and how they are different. Just make sure to upload your answers and your friend or family member's answers as well to the appropriate assignment in Populi. Well, that brings us to the end of workshop number 2 for CED405 Spiritual Formations.